So now you get to find out about the secret project I went to Canada for, and yes, it's Thief. The Thief franchise, if you're not aware, has laid the foundation for most of the stealth genre we know today, including Dishonored, so it was an absolute honour to go behind the scenes and find out about the latest game, which will be released for next-gen consoles and the PC. I was lucky enough to get an exclusive interview with two of the team members working on this game, and let me tell you, it is shaping up to be an impressive reboot.
Both of you, thank you very much for talking to me. It's an absolute pleasure to be here in Montreal at Eidos. I'm very excited about the Thief game. It looks great. So my first big question really is, and I'm sort of in this category, is what do you say to someone who hasn't played the original games, and what would you like to say to them to try and get them interested in this game?
So the game was originally released in the late 90s, so it's a very old game for old people like us that played the original series. What we wanted to do is take the good parts of that, and as a global scale, and make sure that it works. And so for people who are used to the current generation players can just pick it up and play it and get immersed and have the features they expect that you have in other similar games. So for us, it was important to have. When the game originally came out, it was a very standalone game that inspired a lot of other games like Assassin's Creed, Dishonored, and so on, to really bring back that essence of the feeling of being a thief.
Were there any specific problems? Because obviously now you've said all those other games. Were there any problems rebooting it with all these other stealth games in mind at all?
It's still a big challenge. One thing that I noticed, it's very often when we talk about a game, a movie or stuff like that, it's not really black or white. It's kind of gray, about the opinion. For Thief, it's really a question of passion. You cannot do it like that, or you must do it like that, and it's amazing. So this is a kind of good pressure, I would tell you, but we have to be... we had to do our homework and to really make sure that, why it's so a passionate topic, why people are still in love with this franchise after all these years. So we had to analyze and identify, this part is really important, we should keep it, this one, and this one, and this one. So now I think it's behind us, and that's why you're here. I think we're ready now, we have a good recipe, and we're ready to talk about the game. But it's been a long... challenging journey.
As a player, you spend a lot of the time in the shadows, so for, I guess, the art team and also for level design, was that a massive challenge when you're creating this game?
Yes, that's the short version. So also one of the things is we're bringing it to high-end PCs and PS4 and next-gen platforms. And this means there's going to be a lot more details in the environment. Or compared to the original Thief, it was very simple in terms of what they could do with their engines, right? So there was a lot of easy to read in the environment where the shadows were. So now with all this density and complexity, there's a whole new level of how to solve the shadow path and how to do the light and so on. So with it came a lot of ideology and how to, in the homework process, how do we design it so you understand when you're in shadow and when you're not in shadow, when you're in the gray zones between the shadow and the light. And it's something we wanted to make so the player can easily read it. So it's not, do you feel unfairly caught by the guards when you thought you were safe. And this is very important for us.
Yeah.
So one of the things we have, so players have peripheral vision, so you see movement in here. So by having it pop, so there's like a white flash when you go from shadow into light, that gives you the indication, you transition into a dangerous zone. So it's a lot about the feedback we give to the player to help them understand it on an intuitive level versus, coming up text you're now in light wouldn't be very immersive.
It seems very, very organic. In the previous ones, we also saw a lot of supernatural elements. I know there were things like monsters in the first one. I don't know, obviously, how much you can say, because we're still at an early stage of announcement, but what is the sort of role of supernatural elements like magic and monsters?
We don't talk about magic, it's more about, let's say, mystical, right? It's so Garrett will not be able to shoot fireball, and stuff like that.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. That's good.
In the original Thief, there was a lot of magical elements, or dinosaurs almost, kind of thing. And what we wanted to do is give it more. The immersion was a very important part for us. So we took the genre of magic and kind of made more about the mysticism, about exploring and finding out what the underlying energies are for this universe.
Talking about immersion, you've got the hands that do actually interact with things on the screen. So I think this is probably more your question, but in terms of actual level design, you've got a lot of interactive objects, whether it's just sort of looking around a corner. I don't know how difficult that was for you guys to actually go, well, we want to have this done.
One of the things important is to make sure you feel you're in the real place. And Garrett's one of Garrett's main tools is his hands. How does he feel things and so on. In the demo you saw earlier today, you saw him, there's like a couple of books and wait a minute, this looks suspicious, and he starts feeling. And there's a gameplay, like small gameplay loop on how to pick the correct book and figure out where the secrets are. And one of the things we took from the old Thief franchise is there's a lot of secrets. This city is, it's an abundance of secrets everywhere. So what we want is layers on layers and layers of, what is that over there? And your curiosity takes the better of you, and you start exploring, and you find, it leads to a passage. What does that lead to? And you start figuring it out. So the curiosity is one of the elements that we find is very important for the franchise. And your hands is one of the tools you use to find some of these secret passages and so on.
Noticed in the demo, in terms of the combat system, there's target reticules appearing on the NPCs. So how does that work?
So we have several systems. So what you saw in the demo today was something to focus combat, we call it. Okay. It is this, the player's backup card. So when they get into a sticky situation, this is their get out of jail card kind of thing. So on a one-to-one, we want Garrett to feel threatened by the NPCs. One of you're a thief, your profession is not killing, you're not an assassin.
Yeah.
Your objective is always to go steal something. Part of it, your job is to defend yourself in case you get in sticky situations. And in this focus, you have these points, and right now it's more about imitating the reflexes of Garrett to be able to, I want to punch him here, here, and here, kind of thing, to really execute in a very fast order. So this is I can take out multiple opponents, but it costs a resource. It costs the player. So in terms of a long-term play, this is not a sustainable strategy. Yeah, so it is you only have that many get out of jail cards before you have to start readdressing your strategies.
But that said, I realize that maybe it could make some people nervous, because does it mean that I must use it and I must be in a combat situation because you are the master thief? So in theory, we don't see you, So don't worry. I mean, it's going to be possible to, if you want to play the game without killing anybody, it's possible. Really, we are still working very hard to make sure that the game will follow you how you want to play. So if you are like me, that I will give it a big try to be stealth at the maximum, but I'm pretty sure that I'm gonna do some couple of mistakes. I will probably use that focus mechanic just to save my ass. I don't want to restart the game. I just want to continue because I really enjoy the story and stuff like that. But a guy like him that is proud and no, I'm the master thief. But that's it. Enjoy how you want to play it. It's really, really, really important to make sure that people understand it. We will not force people to use that type of mechanic.
Right now we're debating exactly what are the things we want to be able to be optional and so on. So you can disable this feature. You don't want a navigation marker. I want to figure it out myself. I know what I'm doing. So for some players, he wants the navigation marker just to help him go through the game. For me, I don't want that. I don't want help. I want to feel that I can solve this myself. I think we have a lot of ways of playing in the game, right? Because you're a thief, but even if you're a thief, you can play very aggressively, like you could in the old Thief games. Yeah. You could, knock out everybody with your blackjack and just clear the whole area and feel awesome and just walk through. We also want to support the ones where you don't kill anybody, you don't knock down anybody, but everything's gone. You steal the pickpockets of all the guards, and they're like, what the? That kind of scenario. But the hit and run from the shadows is the more systemic part of the non-focused version of the aggressive behavior you can have. So this is something to do with, we want to make sure that independently you're still a thief. Your objective is always to steal something, and it's never to assassinate. You're not doing this out of revenge, you're doing this as the original thief. That's the challenge. And as the player, he loves the challenge of stealing.
I know obviously we're still debating exactly when it's going to be released, but you're aiming for 2014.
You right?
You've said high-end PCs, PS4, other platforms,
other next gen,
whatever those may be. So fingers crossed for that. It looks great. I've seen things like the demos, which look amazing, the graphics for the fire and the smoke, that all looks absolutely fantastic. So I'm really excited to play that and to see more of that. So hopefully in the coming months we will get more information about that. And yeah, thank you both for chatting to me.
Our pleasure.
Thank you.